I love the sound of running water. This is in my creek, right behind my house. You can easily see it from the deck and many windows of the house. It's just so relaxing seeing running water and hearing it, and just sitting here enjoying it. But it got me thinking. Living in Michigan, kind of take water for granted. We are lucky enough to have 11,000 lakes, well, over 11,000 lakes that are 5 acres or larger. You're never more than 6 miles from a lake in Michigan, and you're never more than 85 miles from one of the Great Lakes. And those are Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Ontario, Lake Huron, and Lake Erie. And most of those Great Lakes is what makes us a peninsula. And in those Great Lakes is 21% of all the fresh water in the world. So it's a real precious resource. So when you hear about SHTF, you kind of hear about these mega events like nuclear wars, super volcanoes, or worldwide economic collapse. But it could come on quieter and slower. Could be gradual droughts and then water shortages. And with those water shortages, you have problems growing crops, and pretty soon you have more disease, and you do start to have economic problems. So water shortage is something we should seriously consider. Benjamin Franklin once said, "When the well runs dry, we know the value of water." And I think that is very true, because like I said, here in Michigan, I just kind of take it for granted. It is everywhere. But many areas of the world aren't as lucky as we are here in the Great Lakes state. Droughts, population increase, and increasingly demand by agriculture for water is causing problems worldwide. And I think the United Nations said by 2030, they predict that 2 out of 3 people will live in water-stressed areas. Now that is pretty high and pretty scary. Our water consumption doubles every 20 years, twice the amount of a population increase. Now most of those people who will live in water-stressed areas are going to be in third world countries. And let me read you a little bit about the areas that are stressed already. The most overstressed is the Arabian aquifer system. It supplies water to 60 million people in Saudi Arabia and Yemen. Then there's the Indus Basin aquifer in northwest India and Pakistan, and it's the second most threatened. And then the Merzak-Dajjal Basin in North Africa, which is the third. Yemen experienced water riots in 2009. And they are having problems again. Since 1980, the people living there has went from 8 million to 27 million, and that is really a stress on the water supply. And then there has been war, which has caused some of the infrastructure to be damaged, and now they're having outbreaks of cholera. Now in Beijing, some areas are sinking as much as 4 inches a year because of the depletion of the groundwater. I mean, that is serious. And of course, just in the news this week, we heard that California is trying to build 2 35-mile long tunnels, which are going to be 4 stories high, to divert water from one river to another river to supply more of Southern California with water. And a lot of the agriculture is in that area, and they use a lot of water, but I guess so do the golf courses in Southern California. But I don't know if that is good for the ecosystem or not, or is it good for the people where the water is being diverted from? So all of this can cause a lot of political problems, and we actually may have wars over water. You know, we used to have wars over oil. In the future, it may be wars over water. And it got me thinking, you know, a lot of us, for our long-term storage, we have beans, rice, and maybe freeze-dried food. All of those need water. So if it would be a time of water shortage, that might not be the best way to go. Now, for most of my short-term storage, 6 months to a year, I can my own food, and in the jars it has its own water, so I don't have to worry about that. But that really isn't practical for long-term, and I mean long-term storage. So anyway, got me thinking. I wanted to ask you, what are you doing about water storage? Have you ever thought that water might be the currency and not gold and not silver? Just wondering. This is Prepper Potpourri saying, please subscribe, share the knowledge, thumbs up if you like this video, and as always, thank you so much for your support.